Today we're going to have a look at Devuan Linux. If you have been looking for a Linux system that wants to avoid the age verification, Devuan might be one for you. The first thing is Devuan is a Debian build without systemd. Of course, systemd is adding that age. Now, we use the word age verification. That is not technically correct. This is age attestation is what systemd is putting in. And the difference is, of course, is age verification means there's an external company verifying the information based on looking at some information about you. Whereas age attestation is that the administrator of the system determines the age of the user, which may or may not be the actual age. And the age attestation would satisfy the California and Colorado bills as they are written. It would not satisfy the New York, Texas, or Brazil bills as written. So that's why some people say any caving at all to any of this nonsense is problematic. And I generally hold to that view, but I'm not at this time dogmatic. We have not started to slide down that slope far enough, and I'm a guy that walks through life with my ice shoes and pickaxe on. You know, I will get in there and climb out before it gets too deep. So I personally am not making any major changes to distributions, but I recognize some people might want to. And so I wanted to have a look at Devuan here, as this question is Devuan going to have any age verification? Now, I'm not actually linked to the developer here, Jeromil. So I had to grab a copy of his post from Lunduke Journal. I know that just immediately half of you like, you know, shut up, guys. Lunduke does good work. But he retweeted a quote saying, in 2019, we removed machine ID. We will also remove age verification. Ageless Linux is based on Debian, a foundation that makes it made to spy on users in one way or another because it tracks machine IDs. So their whole philosophy is they're not even a huge fan of Debian anymore. And what they're basically pointing to is the Ageless Linux project, which we've already done a video on, which says you can run this script on any Debian-based Linux system and have all age stuff removed. Basically, the person in charge of Devuan has effectively said, no, we are going to resist any form of age verification that comes into it from other projects. And so if you want Devuan Linux, you can have a look over at their website. It is at devuan.org. And the current release is Excalibur 6. That is the one we are running right here. And then you can grab some of the older versions there as well. And there's also a current unstable, or a current testing, I guess is the better term for it as well. So you can go ahead and grab this if you're looking for a Linux that is not going to track you down. So this is all the default installation. I will tell you, I did need to install manually my Wi-Fi drivers in this. Now, that might have installed automatically had I installed the system directly on this computer. But since I installed it on my ISODOC computer without Wi-Fi chips, it didn't install anything Wi-Fi. So I do not know if I would have had to install this manually, and I just needed to install the is it IWI? Let me see. It'll actually be in my bash history, which of course this, you don't use sudo. You're going to use su to get into your root. And if I go back up and have a look at things, this is the package I had to install, the firmware IWL Wi-Fi. And this particular computer is an Intel-based Wi-Fi, and that is what I needed. Once I did that, restart the computer, and Wi-Fi works perfectly. I will note that Bluetooth did work right away as soon as I installed it. So there's what we have, but I, of course, am not a huge fan of the look of XFCE. I like XFCE. It's not my favorite. And so from here, I just wanted to have a little bit more of a beautiful system. So let's go ahead and snap my fingers and do that. Okay, there we are. There's a much more modern desktop. So I went ahead and just installed the Cinnamon desktop session on this so that we can have, you know, Cinnamon and more modern icons, more modern theming. Basically a system that looks a lot better than XFCE, in my personal opinion. Again, not that I think XFCE is bad. I just do think it looks a little bit dated, and we don't have a lot of modern features like online accounts. But this system here, now we are still running, since this is based on the current Debian system, it is not running the latest Cinnamon 6.6. This is Cinnamon 6.4, still respectable. And you can see the other system specs in there as well. So we just go ahead and I added the Arc Dark theming system. I added the Papyrus icons and the Breeze cursors. And now we have a very good modern looking system, which after installing Cinnamon, you can see I can still connect to my Google or Microsoft accounts, should you choose to. Or Nextcloud, much better. You can do WebDAV, IMAP, SMTP. Here there's Microsoft 365. I mean, they got everything. And this is, I didn't do anything special. I just installed the current Cinnamon desktop package. As far as what the system has going for it, when you do the installation, you do have the option of installing extra packages, installing extra tools, and other useful things. But out of the box, it's a very nice system. The only thing that I have added to this is simple screen recorder so that we could record. And you can see everything else in here is exactly what it comes pre-installed with. So there's, you can see there's some games in there. There's some system tools, including CD burners, something most distros don't come with much anymore, mostly because most computers don't come with drives anymore. But we do have XF burn in here, allowing you to burn things if you do happen to have a CD driver. We have screenshot tools. There's two of them. There's the GNOME version, which of course came with Cinnamon, or there's the XFCE version, which came with XFCE. Of course, if you wanted to, you can just go ahead and install Cinnamon out of the box without installing XFCE. So some of the duplicated system utilities here, like there's Xarchiver and then there's File Roller. A lot of that doubling comes from the fact that I added a second desktop environment, allowing me to switch between the two should I want to. These are the games that are all installed by default. These are the types of things that I'd probably just uninstall myself. I'm not a huge fan of games being on my work computers because, well, you know, I use my work computers for work. And you can see Thunderbird, I think, was actually added with Cinnamon. I'm not quite sure why. Is that a requirement? I have no idea. I don't remember that being in there by default. We did have Firefox ESR. We did install LibreOffice by default with Devuan. And here we have another, this is CD copier, sorry. Create and copy CDs and DVDs. So another burner, I guess. Here's a couple different media players. I think, again, one came with XFCE. Rhythmbox may have come with your Cinnamon, although I'm not totally sure about that. Or maybe they just installed multiple. We have a number of different players. So there are actually a lot of different tools on the system. And so some people might consider that a little too bloated. Some people might be like, hey, that's exactly perfect. But ultimately, it's kind of up to you to look at it and decide what you might want to do. What is the last one I just did? There you go. I want to see this one so I can see what my RAM looks like. So we're running on 2.2 gigs of RAM here. As far as the basic functionality, in my basic experience, you are going to have to do a little bit of work. Look, it's 4 terminals. Oh, Lord help us. 4 terminals. All right. But we do have all of the systems, all the settings. Everything here is exactly what we'd expect. We have a very good, very modern system. And hey, look at this. We can go into here. Let's see if we can add a user. And, you know, there's no information about how old you are. Isn't that awesome? I think the newer System D is going to have like an how old are you prompt in there. It is optional. I will tell you it is optional. But this would allow you to get a distribution that is up and running. It did take a little bit more work than most of the other installs I did, mostly because I did have to fix that wireless card. And actually, as I started doing the recording, I noticed that my my speakers on my laptop are also not working. There is a second Intel firmware pack that I didn't install, and I'm pretty confident if I installed that second pack, it would have fixed the speakers here as well. But I think a lot of the reason they did that is because I downloaded the net installer and it only configured the system based on what I had on that computer, which was my Ryzen 5 computer with a lot of its own internal things. So everything that I noticed did work fine on that computer, but it did give me a much more streamlined install, which actually means there's less things installed, less potential sources of bugs, quicker to install, quicker to update because of that. So Devuan is going to be a good, solid system that you want. Let me see. Do we have a software store? That's one thing I didn't look at. So looks like the GNOME software store probably came with Cinnamon on Debian. And we also have Synaptic Package Manager there as well. So you can do either one. This is the first time I loaded it. So if you remember, the first time you load GNOME software store, it will take a while to populate information. So here's what's installed. Here's up-to-dates. There's Explore. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe the software repositories aren't working. Okay, so it does look like everything is there. So my guess is it's going to take some time to get this to populate. I don't know, maybe I'll give it a chance to populate here and we can have a look. So I did give it some time, and I never got any applications working in the GNOME software store here. I did go ahead and add myself to the sudo group. So you can see now if I do sudo apt update, it will ask me for the password. And so now it actually can work. I was thinking it may be possible that the GNOME Software Center needed the main user of the computer to be in the sudo group. So I was thinking that might be the problem. But after waiting for quite a while, I went in, I toggled all these on and then back off again. And then I went over into your preferences. I toggle these guys around a little bit on and off again. I still get nothing. So, just as why, GNOME Software Center just sucks. That's been a pretty universal way I've done things for a while. I've always kind of said that. But everything else in the system is working well. Do we have to have a GUI software system? Not necessarily in Linux. You do have the Synaptic. And you can see here that everything else is working just fine. We have LibreOffice. We can test if USB drives work. We can go ahead and do that real quick here. All right. So here's this drive. I just pop this guy in. That guy worked. So everything else appears to be working. Like I said, Bluetooth there appears to be working, and all functions seem to go. We have an operating system that can do everything any other Linux system can do, including online accounts, without being forced into age verification. So have a look at Devuan. Let me know in the comments, are you using Devuan yourself, and how is it working for you? Let me know your thoughts, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.